Services tonight. We want to welcome everybody that's here. I'm filling in for Tim tonight. Tim and Melinda are in Nashville where she's receiving some of her treatments. I think she had one today and she's supposed to have one tomorrow before they return. So let's remember them in our prayers. Good to see Brother Paul back from his knee surgery the other day with us tonight. That's all that I know about. Before we start, Brother Bob Seaton's going to lead us in a word of prayer.
We bow and pray together. Dear Lord, we
Amen. All right, we're continuing our lesson on Caleb tonight, and if you've got a book, we'll start on page 56. Just as a disclaimer, I'll throw this in. Tim sent me the PowerPoint, and I have made some changes to it, so you can't blame everything. I can't blame everything on Tim tonight. All right. Well, lesson on Caleb. We'll start out on the bottom of page 56 here, the conquest of Canaan. It says, Caleb's confidence that God could give Israel the land was fully justified. Under the leadership of Joshua, they swept through the land with the irresistible power of a hurricane. God made city walls to crumble, hailstones to fall, and even the sun and the moon to stand still. Summarizing their conquest from Joshua 11:23, so Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had said to Moses. And Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to their division by their tribes. The exact order of the conquest is not entirely clear. If we study the conquest, we can see that there was multiple campaigns. There was a campaign that took the center of the land, and then I believe one that took the southern portion and the northern portion of the land. It says, furthermore, since Israel was not able to populate all the conquered land immediately, some of the conquered people apparently returned to their former homes. Regardless of the reason, 7 years after the entry to Canaan, the giants, known as the Anakim, that the spies had so much dreaded were still, or again, in the region around Hebron. This was the portion of the land that God had promised to Caleb, which kind of leads us to where we left off class Sunday morning with the question of how long did the conquest of Canaan take? Now, our book has mentioned already about 7 years, and I'd like to kind of suggest three answers to this question. The first one talked about how long did the conquest of Canaan take? 7 years. And here's the way that I went about deciding this. In Joshua chapter 14 and verse 7, Caleb was 40 years old when he was sent out to spy the land. Deuteronomy 2:14, and this is from the English Standard Version, which I'll be using mostly tonight. Deuteronomy 2:14, and the time from our leaving Kadesh Barnea until we crossed the brook Zered was 38 years, until the entire generation, that is, the men of war, had perished from the camp as the Lord had sworn to them. as we looked at Sunday in Joshua 14, verse 10, Caleb was at that point 85. So the way that I learned math when I was in school, 40 plus 38 equals 78. And then 78 plus 7 equals the 85 years old that Caleb was at this time. I think that's one answer. Another way to look at it, and I haven't written these verses out, but I put them up here so where you can copy them if you'd like, and I'll be reading the passages. Let's start out with Joshua chapter 11, verse 18. It says, Joshua made war a long time with those kings. From Joshua 11:23, we read, so Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had spoken to Moses. And Joshua gave it for an inheritance to Israel according to their tribe allotments, and the land had rest from war. We've already mentioned Joshua 14, where Caleb is 85 years old. Joshua 23:1 reads, a long time afterward, when the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their surrounding enemies, and Joshua was old and Joshua's life. And I've got Joshua 24:29 here where it talks about Joshua. I decided start with verse 7. And the people